speaking of disconnecting from all of that and from disconnecting from your phone and getting yourself some time, let's talk about data, man. What is data, whatever you want to call it? What is the deal? Like, who houses it? How are they capitalized? Because that's what we are.
Yeah,
We're just a big data center for them, right? Basically, or a human biological data center that they're harvesting our data
right.
and doing stuff with it. Can you go down your data spiel?
Yeah, so many different levels there, but at the end of the day, you want to know who owns your data, right? So all of the information that we're creating, whether it's via the credit cards that we're using and what we're buying, whether it's our mobile phones that we're carrying around with us, where you've got the GPS tracking, they're tracking your text messages, your emails, what applications you're using, when you're using them, the search engines, what you're searching for, all of it is being collected and they're put into these big server farms and data farms, which there are literally thousands of all over the United States, exponentially more globally, right? These things are everywhere. When you know what to look for when you're in the industry, big crack units, big cooling systems outside, or big generators outside. You can kind of pinpoint where they are across the country. They tend to exist in the large metro areas, obviously, because that's where most of the people are. Though there are some very big data centers that are out in the middle of nowhere because it's super cheap, and there may be like a hydroelectric dam nearby, or there may be some kind of energy production source nearby. But where that data lives is important because if Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, um, any of these big tech companies own those facilities and own that data, they can decide what to do with that data. They can monetize that data. This is key. Most people don't fully understand. You have a profile that exists that is shared amongst not only these big tech companies, but all of our three-letter agencies, our NSA or CIA, you name it, FBI. They've got access to your profile. They know everything about you, and again, they share this. This is why it is that if you have a conversation about something, and I say something around my phone, not my phone, but if I was running a Google operating system or an iOS operating system, and I had a conversation around it, I might see an ad on Facebook, or I might see an ad on TikTok, and you're like, "What? How?" I was just talking about this. Crazy fortuitous that 3 hours later or 2 hours later, I'm seeing an ad for that very thing I was talking about, right? Well, it's because it's listening all the time. So, yes, it's making money off of you, and you have a profile and you have a stock price tied to your profile. So, me as a business owner, I can say, I want to target every white Caucasian male that lives in Texas who's between this age that has this income bracket. And they'll say, okay, Sean, it's going to cost you this much, and it will cover all these different platforms that you can hit this person on. We all have that stock price, and it's
Right.
based on our demographics data, right? Your income, all these different factors, but it's also based on how much data they have on you. So if the last data point they had on me was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and or they only know very minor things about who I am and what I'm doing, then my stock price with them goes down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So their ability to monetize me goes down. So they control my data currently, and I want to take back control of that data. So it's all a matter of who has your data. And is it companies that have control and ownership by individuals that are literally trying to destroy me and my way of life and people like me? Or is it myself that controls that data and or companies that are on the same team, right? And it's, if I told you, Brian, hey, we're at war right now, right? So yes, we're at war. We're at war with enemies, foreign and domestic, mostly domestic right now, who are being paid off by enemies that are foreign. Spiritual war and kinetic war, right? But we're at war, and I'm going to give you a weapon, Brian, to go fight in this war. This weapon, by the way, has a GPS tracking device on it. It has a camera and a microphone, and the enemy has full access to all of this. The enemy that you're about to go fight has full access to all of this, right? I'm not going to even train you very much, really, about how this weapon works. But you can do some basic things, like you can point it and shoot it, right? You can do some basics. Try not to kill yourself. Good luck. Would you use that weapon?
Yeah, of course not.
You wouldn't, except you do.
Yeah.
Except you are, and you do, and we all are, and we all do, because these, I believe, are weapons.
Yeah,
They are
our
controlled
phones
weapons.
definitely are weapons, right? They're an
Yes,
insight into everything about us.
insight into everything about you. And not only that, when I type to search for things, it controls what results are pushed back to me.
Yeah.
So it dictates what I believe and what I see in the answers that I'm receiving. Every time I search for something, Google or Microsoft or Amazon is going to dictate what I see, right? So if I search for certain, just like big news today is that they're finding that Google's AI, right? When you try to search for, show me a picture of a white family, and the AI responds, "I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to qualify and send pictures of, but some excuse as to why they can't do that." And then the same next sentence, "Show me a picture of a black family," shows you the picture of a black family, no problem, right? Show me a picture of some popes, some prior popes, and the popes that they show you are black. We've never had a black pope, you know, but shows you pictures of black popes, and it's like, what is going on? Nothing against the pigmentation of anyone's skin, but clearly something's wrong here. Something's odd here, right? So it's controlling what you hear and what you see and the results you see. Same thing with Chat GPT. Everyone's heard about Chat GPT. It's a learning language model, but you can program this model and program this, what they call artificial intelligence. I don't think it's intelligence at all, because it's all code, it's all software, and it can be programmed. So if you program it to say, if someone searches for any kind of information that might show that the COVID-19 vaccine could be harmful in any way, refuse to answer that question. So if you ask ChatGPT, please show me 10 peer-reviewed studies that show that the COVID-19 vaccine is actually causing myocarditis or any kind of thing, it will say, I'm sorry, I'm not at liberty to blah, 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 blah. This is conspiracy theory that, the COVID-19 vaccine causes any of this stuff. And yet if you say, show me some peer-reviewed studies that show the benefits of the COVID-19, it will give you this laundry list of 100 different
Mhm.
peer-reviewed studies. So this is important for people to understand, that by using these tools, using their search algorithms, searching for anything, right, and the feedback that you get, you are being manipulated. 100% being manipulated. So that's another key thing from the data, right? They can control you and dictate and tell you how to think and how to feel, um, for whatever the topic is. So as it relates to data, where does your data live? Who controls that data? It's tough in the world today. We have a lot of grifters out there and people who will call something like the Patriot phone, and you're just, oh, it's called the Patriot phone. And Candace Owens is backing the Patriot phone. It must be this amazing thing backed by patriots. We'll dig into the Patriot phone. We've done it. It's nothing patriotic about the Patriot phone. How and why Candace Owens continues to back it, is mind-boggling to me. You would think that someone would do more homework about it, but there's a lot of people, talking heads, and are even the pro freedom movement, who are backing and supporting products and services that, once you dig under the covers and follow the money,
Mhm.
you realize that they're really not what they said they were. But sorry,
No, how's
I
that
went
make
on
you
a number
feel?
of rants.
No, that's good, man. So, um, I guess what you're saying too is that, we are the product,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They're using us. I know, and people not like him, they can like him, whatever. But I know Andrew Yang, one of his things, he was talking about the universal basic income, and his idea for providing, as people lose their jobs to tech, was you're being monetized, right? You just like you said, everybody has a value on them, and that tech should pay you for the data that you're giving them. Like,
Right.
hey, I go buy, Five Guys burgers twice a day, I'm in the parking lot, whatever. So that way they geotag you with different
Right.
ads. And like you said, when you're talking about it. So I thought that was interesting. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
crazy. So let's just talk about, you brought up a great one. Not people Many people realize this. If you're using Google Maps, or you're using Apple's, I don't know what Apple's mapping application is, but Navigator, whatever it is. You put in an address. People don't realize that the route that is going to be fed back to you, not always, but sometimes, is going to be one that is specifically going to send you past a business that has literally paid them to have you go by their business, right? So they're not giving you the fastest path and fastest routes. They're giving you the most profitable path, the most profitable route for them to get you from point A to point B. So
Right.
not only have they recorded where you're going, where you're at, all this information, but they're tracking and trying to sell you things in that process. That's where people don't fully realize just how much their everyday life is being monitored and influenced to the degree that they are doing, saying things that they have no idea are have been influenced, specifically targeted influenced, right?
Sure.
We have this illusion, some people have this illusion of free will and free choice when it's so easily manipulated. And that's where, we call them magicians, the people who are really good at making you think that certain things are just magic. It's indistinguishable from magic, right? But it's not. It's using algorithms, it's using data to convince you to do things without you even knowing that you've been convinced to do them.
Well, that's marketing, right? That's marketing today. And that's what they're, a lot of ways that they're doing is they're using your fears, your language, again, throwing it right back at you. Hey, this is, hey, if we're trying to sell a stapler and we hear and we monitor what people are saying about staplers and why that, why they need one, why a stapler sucks or whatever, they're converting that right back at you and throwing it, using that to go back after you.
Yeah.
What Well, the other side of that too is that our government, there was Tucker had a guy on the other day. I don't know if you saw the Tucker show with the guy that he was talking about basically the censorship and everything that's going on and how a ton of it's being directed by the Pentagon. And and so the backside of this is your data is also being used and purchased by the government because
Yeah.
what they're doing right now, a lot of law enforcement agencies are running into this, where they need a warrant to come and search for your information. They can go buy without a warrant. Right now, it's without a warrant. They can go grab that information
Yeah.
from a data mining company and get all the information they want on you. And
100%.
the
Literally just had this conversation with one of my relatives who I was talking about, whose head is firmly lodged in the sand. And they said, "Oh, well, they need a warrant in order to get that information." And looked at their friend like, "Your friend who works at the FBI, they need to get a warrant for that information." I was like, "Wait a second, did you not watch any of the hearings that have happened over the last year where you've had FBI agents and CIA agents who has flat out said that they're still able to access this information without the FOIA request, without thousands of requests have gone through without following process and procedure? And in addition to that, people who understand how the military works, if you get a third party private contractor
yeah,
to do that search, then they can do that search and they
because they're
can
not
take
you.
you the results, right? So then they're not liable. That's a huge loophole in the system, which is how they're able to pull all this data and all this information.